What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Project Ozone 2 Kappa Mode. Oh yeah, guys. So, I have been spawning some more villagers in here, and this thing was acting a little weird. I have since fixed it, but I filled this thing up full of 8 stacks of villager souls, and this one over here full of the 8 stacks of soul vials. And it's only supposed to work when there is no redstone signal to spawn in the villagers, right? So it spawned in the villager, it landed on this plate, and then it spawned in like 10 more. I was like, what is going on here? I have no idea. There was something funky. So like pretty much had to tear everything down. I thought it was a problem with the conduits. I thought maybe it was a problem with the pressure plate. I ended up restarting the server. I broke the autonomous activators and put them back. Apparently when you break it, like resets the sneaking option. And I think it had the orange on the back here. Anyway, so I got that all fixed. And now it's working again. So I just got done doing 8 stacks with the villagers. We are taking all of those and converting those into the enticing crystal so we can turn to the vibrantium. We need a stack of vibrantium blocks, right? For this recipe over here. We're still trying to make these infinity catalysts, and that requires a stack of vibrantium. Yeah. So I currently told it to make half a stack of blocks because that is the amount of the enticing crystals we had. We still have a bit in the system, but in order to make a full stack, we need like 200 more, I think. So I just told it to make half a stack. Let's take a look at enticing crystal. So we have 504 right now, 505. We just got another one in there. So yeah, that is currently going in the background. So hopefully by the end of the episode, we'll be able to make, or at least tell the system to make the other 32 of them. But yeah, we still got a ways to go on this recipe, guys. So last episode, we were setting up the automation for these runes. So we can tell the system, hey, make a rune, it'll provide this stuff, and then it will get processed and done, right? Well, there's a couple of problems, one of which I solved, the other of which we still need to tackle. Okay, so the problem was, last time we were making these automated, right? We told it to make water crystal, you know what, my magnet, no, okay. So we told it to make like water, right? And it would do that just fine. It warp the items up here, they would get processed, it would click it automatically, then they get pulled away, right? Everything's great. The problem is, when you try and make the higher tier, it uses some of those water, what are they called? What are these things called? The rune of water, whatever, rune of earth, rune of fire. So yeah, if you use the higher tier ones, or you try to make the higher tier ones, it provides those items as part of the recipe. Now, this runic altar doesn't always take the items as soon as they land on and make the recipe out of it. They sometimes wait there, and then sometimes our advanced item collector would grab the item before we were ready to go. Yeah, that was a problem. I was sitting there scratching my head, like, you know what? We spent so much time on this thing, I'm just gonna figure it out. So I did figure it out. So we switched the way that we are collecting the items now. We are no longer using the advanced item collector on this chest. That's gone. I was trying to do like a redstone signal on it and trying to turn it off. There is no way to turn it off. You can just set it for specific items. If it sees those items, it grabs them. That's it. So I switched it out for a transfer node with a stack of world interaction upgrades. I'm pretty sure you can only do up to 8 of these, and you know, beyond 8 doesn't really matter, but they're EMCable. I made a stack, we put them in there. I got stack upgrade in here, and then 3 stacks of speed upgrades. I have a filter, which I have set with 3 filters inside this filter, each for the different types of runes. So yes, we have runes for every single type of thing. So it's only ever gonna pick up these runes. But what's great about this transfer node is that you can turn it off with a redstone signal. So I made a NOR gate here from Project Red Integration. So it is pulling the redstone signal off this block. If there is no redstone signal, it emits a redstone signal to this thing and stops it from trying to pull items. This block gets the redstone signal from the altar up above, right? We have a comparator that's pointing into this block. As soon as the recipe starts, it emits a redstone signal 1. When the recipe completes and it's ready to be right-clicked, it emits a redstone signal of 2. But as long as it's got the redstone signal 1 or 2, this stops emitting a redstone signal and this starts trying to suck in items, right? Only after the recipe has been set and only after it started crafting, right? So there is no way that if we warp any items up here that'll ever pick them up until it's already in the process of crafting or done crafting. That's a much better way of doing this. Okay, so we got that figured out. Yeah, that took me a little bit of time to figure out what all of that. Oh, I made an OR gate too. I didn't know if it was an OR gate that we needed, so I made both. Yeah, OR gate is like if one is on or the other one's on, it emits a redstone signal through it. The NOR gate is if any input has a signal, it stops emitting at once. Does the exact opposite. Okay, so that's all solved. I think everything else is exactly the same. It was just the fact of crafting items. So now we can tell it to make Rune of Summer. Yeah, and we can tell it to do that. It'll put on the other runes. Why is it not going? What's going on here? Did I not tell it to make that Rune of Summer? Did I tell it cancel? Next. Start. Is it not going? Why is it not going? Rune of Summer! Oh my goodness. Of course, when I'm recording, this doesn't want to work. Start. Oh, it's one of those things I have to hit start like a bazillion times for whatever reason. I was hitting start and then it's clicking escape to get out of the menu. So anyway, we can do those. Rune of Gluttony, for instance, we can make these as well. And that uses the mana diamonds. We need to automate this process. But everything else, yeah, we also need to automate the living rock. That's another thing. So yeah, we can craft all of these things, no problem now. And as soon as it's done crafting, like it sucks the items away so fast you don't even see them hit the ground. They're just gone. So that's really awesome. I do like that. Okay, so a couple things we need to figure out today. We need to get the mana automatically filling up in these mana pools. Otherwise, as we auto craft stacks of these things, we're gonna run out of mana, right? That's not good. So we need to get that figured out. This is probably going to be our main battery. This is going to provide the mana to all of our different mana pools here. So we need to get a mana pool that's providing mana to our battery, right? So in BOTANIA, there are spark augments. I was kind of looking at this yesterday and I was like, you know, maybe we could. We ran out of time because we were setting up all of the auto crafting. But yeah, we should definitely get these things set up. So we want the Spark Augment Recessive, a recessive spark, a mana pool that has a spark on it with the recessive augment will push mana from its pool to mana pools that have sparks on it with no augments at all. So unmarked sparks. So we want a recessive mana pool down here. Let's make a mana pool out of living rock. I'm pretty sure we don't have any more mana pools. There's that. Do we have any sparks? We have one spark. Perfect. Okay, so it doesn't need to be directly below, but I'm gonna set it directly below. So this is block right here. So right here, we need a mana pool right like that with a spark on it. This spark needs to have the recessive spark augment. Okay, so let's make a recessive one. So that is Mana Steel, Pixie Dust, Rune of Earth. We should have all of that stuff now. All right, so there is a recessive spark augment. So if I start putting mana in here, it'll get sucked out and put into all of these other ones, actually, every single mana pool over here, because none of these have any other markings on them. That's not really what I want to have happen. I want these to be dominant ones. These two and this one right here. So these three will pull from this bank and the one below will push to this bank. That's the way I want that set up. Okay, so now we need to make 3 dominant sparks. So let's do that. 3 dominant spark augments. Let me correct myself. So if I do that, this pool should fill up. Yep, it filled up from these guys over here. If I put one right here, this one will fill up. And we'll put one right here, and that one will fill up. Great. So all of those are being filled from these 9 mana pools. And then those 9 will be filled from this particular mana pool down here. Now, we can't do anything just yet. As soon as I start putting mana in there, it's going to pull it out and put it into that pool up above. So let's not do that. I'm going to remove... How do I remove this? I have to right click it with the wand. Yeah, that's right. You can't just click it with that because that does the AoE thing. Okay, shift right click removes that. Shift right click removes that. Perfect. All right, so we need to fill up this mana pool with a little bit of mana first of all. So let's grab a mana tablet. Mana tablet. Cue that on there. That starts dumping mana from the tablet into the pool. We need a little bit of mana in there before we can use our black lotus. So we have 19,000 of these now. These have been running for quite some time since last episode. Okay, so we can put that there. We can put our spark augment, or our spark back on there, and a recessive one. As soon as we put the recessive one on there, it's going to start filling up these pools up here. So this is going to drain it quite quickly, I think. Yeah, so we need to keep on top of the mana. So this, instead of having to dump these into like all of those pools, we just have to dump it into one, which makes it a lot nicer. Looks like it is still pulling out a little bit. It must be transferring to just one pool now. Let's take a look. Looks like this one right here is the one that's still being filled up, and it should be about full. Looks like we're good to go. Okay, so all of those are being filled up from this one pool, and then again, those 3 are being filled up from those 9 pools. Now, the reason why we want the 9 here, I guess it's not that important anymore, but the reason we wanted these here is so if we were crafting Terra Steel, it'd go that much quicker. Yeah, that was the reason for having this large amount, but for our purposes now, it's not quite as necessary because we have Terra Steel being made from our magical crops. But anyway, we're just going to leave the setup the way it is. All right, so now that we have this done, we need a way to detect how much mana is in here, and when it reaches a certain point, we need to start dropping blacker lotuses in there. So comparators are a way that you can detect how much mana is in a mana pool. So we'll do that. Just use a vanilla one, that'll be fine. Let's stick that right there. Let's grab some redstone dust so we can take a look at how much, what the signal strength is. So that's a 9, so that means it's like 9 out of 15 full, about 2/3 full, right? Okay. So now that we got a signal, we can compare that signal with something else. Let's probably make a potentiometer again. We like doing this combination. The potentiometer is Draconic Evolution, and it also allows us to set a specific redstone signal strength, so the comparator will only emit a redstone signal when it reaches that point, and then we can use that redstone signal to do whatever we want. So comparator, we'll make another vanilla comparator to go into this recipe here. Cool. So let's set it for 9. 9 seems like a reasonable number. So when this is at 9, this is emitting 9, it'll allow the signal to go out. If this drops below 9, it should still emit a redstone signal. If it gets above 9, that redstone signal will turn off. So if I put a lotus in there, no, is that not working? Oh, maybe when it's above 9, it emits a redstone signal. Okay, so that would mean as we go up higher and higher, this should turn off, right? I always get confused with these things. So when we drop below 9, then it'll emit no redstone signal. Okay, so that's what we're gonna go off of. So when the redstone signal turns off, that's when we want to start dropping stuff into this mana pool. So I guess we could invert this. We could use either the NOR gate like I was using before, or we could just use a redstone torch and a block. Let's grab that, and redstone torch should be just fine. Okay, no redstone signal, stop doing stuff. Redstone signal, put stuff in the mana pool. All right, so that's what we're gonna end up doing. So now we just need some kind of a timer when it gets a redstone signal to continue doing what it's doing, or I don't know. I guess it just depends how the timers work. Some timers, if they get a redstone signal, they stop. Some timers, if they get a redstone signal, they work. So let me just take a moment here, get the things set up that we need to do, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, so this was a little bit simpler than I was trying to make it, but anyway, when we are emitting the redstone signal, it means we're above the limit in this mana pool, right? So we are turning off this timer. This timer does not work when it gets a redstone signal, so I just put this right in front of the redstone comparator. Yeah, so when we're above redstone signal 9, this timer turns off. Otherwise, every 2 seconds, this thing will spin and emit a redstone signal to this ME export bus with a redstone card in it, set to activate once per pulse, and it's going to be dropping blacker lotuses. So every 2 seconds, when this mana pool gets below that limit, yeah, we should be dropping in a blacker lotus, which should increase the volume of the mana pool. We might have to adjust this so it's faster than that. I'm not sure exactly how fast we need to go, but anyway, that's what we're doing for right now. So to test this, we could throw in like half a stack of diamonds as soon as I turn my magnet off, and then that should lower the mana pool. There we go. So that seemed to drop like 2 at once, didn't it? It didn't seem like it was just dropping 1 at a time. Let's try that again. Okay, so we are not below the level. Let me try grabbing some more diamonds. All right, so let's try just like half of this. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, it seems like it drops in more than 1 at a time for some reason, even though I have it set to just drop 1. Maybe I need to do something like have the export bus go into a chest and have the chest extract into here. Not really sure. But anyway, that pretty much gets the job done. We want this to not waste the blacker lotuses. Maybe if I set this to a shorter interval, like 1 second, it'd be better. Not really sure. Other things that we want to do though is we want to have this thing drop in items into this mana pool that we need crafted, like mana diamonds. We want to get that automated as well. So that's going to be pretty easy. All we have to do is set up an interface that's attached to like a chest that's pushing the items into this open crate. And yeah, that should just work. We could have an item collector that's only grabbing, you know, right around this area to pick those items up and put them back into the interface. So let me get that hooked up real quick and we'll be right back. Alright guys, so I've changed some things around and I've added some stuff. I moved the comparator and the timer to the other side just so we don't have to have like a crazy long redstone conduit. And yeah, it shortens up the cable that we were running over here through Applied Energistics. So yeah, the cable is connected to this ME interface, which now has patterns in there to make mana diamonds, mana pearls, and mana powder, right? So these patterns are in this interface. The interface will push the items into this chest, and the chest is being extracted with the item translocators into an open crate. So anytime that we tell it to make something, those items get pushed in here, down there, and they get converted, right? Also, we have our export bus on this chest, which is set up the same way. Redstone card, activate once per pulse with the blacker lotus. And yeah, when the timer kicks off, it emits a redstone signal to this thing and puts, for whatever reason, 2 blacker lotus in this chest every time it gets the redstone signal. Okay, so when that happens, that gets dropped in here and fills up the mana pool, so that should take care of that. We also have an advanced item collector over here with a filter that is currently only collecting mana diamond, mana pearl, mana powder. So when we get these resulting items from those recipes right here, yeah, this collects them, puts them into the chest. And then I guess I have not added the rest of this because I forgot. Item conduit, we need to extract out of that chest and put it into the interface to complete the recipe. So let's get that hooked up now. There we go. This will be set to insert. This will be extract, always active, and we will put in 15 conduit speed upgrades in there. Cool. All right, so now that is 100% complete. Now we can automatically make mana powder. Tell the system make like 100 of that. Did I do that again? Mana powder, did I hit escape? Make 100, next, start. There it goes. Okay, so we're currently using redstone to do this. That's fine. We have like 22,000 redstone dust. Doesn't really make a difference. There's a lot of different types of powders that you can use, or I guess powder lake items to turn into the mana powder. That's what I chose to use, but as you saw there, as I was crafting, it did drop in the blacker lotus and kept the mana pool full. So pretty much everything that we need to do down here is done. So next step that I wanted to do to finish up our BOTANIA automations is I wanted to automate getting ourselves the living rock and potentially the living wood. We can use the same setup for both. We could expand this out and make it crazy big. I don't really think that's necessary. So let's start by removing the blocks around our pure daisy here. All right, so what we're gonna do is use Applied Energistics for this, and we have to use a sub network. Okay, so let's start first of all with annihilation planes. We need to put those on top of ME conduits. ME conduit. No, ME glass cable. These things. Yep, that's gonna be fine. So glass cables all the way around our flower here. All right, then we will put the annihilation planes on there, like so. Cool. So the annihilation planes, when they have power, if there's a block on top of them, they will pick up that block and suck it into the network. So that's going to be how we get the items back, right? So beyond that, we need to put formation planes. How do we do the formation planes? So I have to do like blocks and then put the formation planes. I don't remember. I think maybe that's what we need to do, is just have Keeble here. Run another series of Keeble like this. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so let's get underneath here and then we can place the formation planes on this. Just like so. Okay, so when this subnetwork receives items, yeah, any item that it receives, that's not what I want it to do. Any item that it receives, it should use these formation planes to push the items down. I think you can set a filter on here. I don't think that's going to be necessary, but you can set a filter on there so it'll only form certain types of items, not every item. Can I do this without hitting the flower? There we go. All right. So there's two separate things right now. So the way these annihilation planes work is they will only pick up an item if there's space in an inventory that's attached to the network for it to fit into. All right. So the way we are going to do this is we are going to use oak drawer. I guess we'll stick it right there. That should be fine, I think. So oak drawer. So now we need to get ourselves a storage bus to store the item in. We'll put it right there with that. So that's connected to that sub network. The other things we need to do is get the items that we actually want. So living rock, we just need one of those. And then a living wood. Like so. We'll put one in each of these different little slots here. All right, so that should be fine. We want to lock the drawers. So lock the drawer and we will also turn off the icons. Okay, so those are the only things that this network knows how to deal with, is just the living rock and the living wood. It has space for 512 of each of them, which is more than enough. And then we need on our main network to see those items. So let's grab a storage bus. So the subnetwork is going to read the items in this chest and it knows how to put them in there. This storage bus will see the items in there and then we'll be able to deal with them on our main network. Okay. So now that we got this hooked up, we need to get the portion hooked up to this top part that's like, hey, I got items in my network. Let's go ahead and place them down. I think we will poke a hole up here. This should be fine. Bring this down here. All right, so both of those two networks are now connected, which is fine. And then we need some kind of a way for us to put items into this sub network here. So I guess an interface will work. We will do another interface here from our main network into the sub network interface, but we're going to use a Keeble interface. This one does not transfer data. It does not transfer power. It'll only see this as an inventory and that's it. So we can connect that right there to our main network. So now this interface will say, hey, I'm attached to an interface. All right, so that's the recipe. That's the interface that we're going to put our recipes into. Let's go ahead and make those up now. So we need 2 recipes. One for 8 stone is going to equal 8 living rock. Stone. 8 stone. Oop, maybe on the right one. 8 stone is going to equal 8 living rock. I can make the other one later, that's fine, but this is the more important one right now. All right, so we can put this over here. All right, so now we should have a pattern and we should tell our system to be able to craft that. Let's just make sure that we can see it. Yes, okay, so the system recognizes that we have that. So let's see. The next thing we need to do is give this subnetwork power. That's a thing we have not done yet. So easiest way, I guess, would just be grab some glass fiber. Do I just call it fiber? Okay, so some fiber here. I'm gonna grab some red conduit. Red glass cable, just so I can see that it is different. You don't have to use red. I'm using red just to show that, hey, this is how we're getting power over here. Okay, so now this subnetwork has power. It has a storage place. It has a way to get items in. Right, so I think we should be about ready to go as soon as this thing turns on. Is it gonna turn on? It says device is missing channel. Although I'm not sure why. We have power. That's online. We should be getting power. Why is this not working? All right, well, let me give this a moment here. Try and figure out what I've done incorrectly, because I'm pretty sure this should be Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's right. Okay, I know exactly what the problem is. Each one of these annihilation planes uses one channel, right? And each one of these formation planes uses a channel. We need to get ourselves an ME controller in order for this to work. Yeah, okay. ME controller. I forgot about that. Did I mention that ME controllers have EMC? Yeah, those are no longer an issue. All right, so we could put a controller like right here, and that should solve the problem. There we go. Now our annihilation planes are mostly on. Obviously, I've messed something up here. Yeah, we have this thing on the same channels. I should move that over so it's connected to this one. All right, I'll have to do that. Let's grab this thing. All right, quit clicking the wrong things. Okay, so now we're gonna need cable anchors. I think one there, just so this cable does not touch that up there. Those need all 8 channels that we are providing. All right, so this is getting a channel from here and a channel from there. So we're using 2 channels here. We're using 8 channels there, and our formation plane should be using 8 channels up above, right? So everything should be on and working. I think we're good to go now. So if I tell the system to make the living rock, it should put 8 stone into that interface, which the formation plane should form, and then the annihilation planes will only grab the completed items because it only knows how to store those. All right, so once, we gotta wait 30 seconds for this to finish up, but once those do convert, everything should just work, and we should see that we have the additional living rock in our main network because of that storage bus that's attached to the same oak drawer that we are putting the items in from the sub networks. Let's just make sure this is gonna work here. It should just be a few more seconds. And I mean, hopefully that works. This is a pretty simple setup, and I will be able to tell the system, hey, craft up, you know, like 1,000 of these, and then we'll have those available. So living rock, now we have 9 in our system. Awesome. So that's now set up. I can do the same thing for the living wood, and it'll work exactly the same way. I just need to make the recipe for that. So let me get that recipe done, and we'll be back, guys. All right, guys, so this seems to be working pretty good. I wrapped this whole thing, the upper portion, with these the facades here, so it doesn't look like the cables and the formation planes, just like looks like floating blocks or whatever. Yeah, pure daisy is still there, so everything is working pretty good. One final thing that I'd like to do to finish up our whole BOTANIA automation section over here, I want to upgrade our mana spreader. So let's do that now. I just removed our velocity potency lens and the mana spreader itself. There's an upgrade for this. Let's take a look at the uses. So yeah, we can do it with the Dragonstone plus the Gaia's Spirit plus the mana spreader. You know, I didn't even check if we had the Gaia's Spirit. We do. Okay. I wasn't sure if we had that or not. So let's go ahead and upgrade this thing. So we need mana spreader. So the Gaia mana spreader sends mana faster, which means we craft things faster, which is just good overall for what we're doing here. So yeah, it looks like that pointed upwards lid. Shift right click and then shift right click here. That points right at the altar. So now as we craft things, it should craft at the maximum speed possible. I guess it would also be possible if we had more mana spreaders pointed at this thing with more mana pools next to them, we could go faster yet, but for one spreader, that's about as fast as we can go. So things that we were looking at, we wanted like a stack of Rune of Wrath, and we weren't able to do that before because we didn't have the living rock or some of the other components like the mana diamonds we're going to be running out. Now we should have everything together. So if we do Rune of Wrath, we should be able to tell the system make 63 more of these things. And it should all just work. Now, it will end up crafting a whole bunch of these rune of waters, even though we get those back, because the recipe says that that goes into it and we only get a rune of wrath back or whatever. I guess it's also going to create more of these rune of winters, but that's fine. If we have extra of these runes, that's perfectly fine. Alternatively, we could change the recipe. So if we say rune of wrath, actually, let's just grab it. Rune of wrath, this one. So if we grab this guy right here and we put it here, we can see that there's 3 output slots. So we could say that we get a rune of wrath plus a rune of earth plus a rune of winter right here. The problem is sometimes this rune of wrath, the icon for this, changes to like rune of earth or rune of winter. And I want it to say rune of wrath. Also, I'm not really sure if I tell the system to create a rune of water, will it make this recipe? I don't know. I think it's just better to leave this thing alone the way it is. It will just have extra of the rune of winters and all of those kinds of things in the system. It won't really matter because once we get like a stack of those, every time we craft a stack, it'll always have them on hand. So it's not that big of a deal. So rune of wrath, let's tell the system to make 63 more of these things. And yeah, it has to craft a whole lot of stuff, but we should have everything together. Okay, we have a problem. First of all, my magnet's on. Second of all, it looks like it sent way too many items and it wasn't stopping like it should have been. You know what? I know exactly why that happened. I just got done. Oh my goodness. I need to get all these things into the system. I just got done taking down all of our interfaces around here. Yeah, and renaming them so we know what's all on, what the interfaces are attached to. Oh my goodness, this sucks. Can I just tell this to cancel and maybe it'll stop warping items up here? I don't know. Yeah, the problem is our interfaces down there are not set up to stop if there's item in the inventory. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be a pain to undo all this. Can I just break the altar and replace it? I don't know if that's a thing I can do. Maybe that'll do something bad if I do that. Okay, let me reset this thing up. Grab these items too. Yep, that was a derp on my part. So like I said, I took these interfaces and I renamed them. So this one says runic altar, but I forgot to press this button. Yeah, that's the problem right here. I forgot to press the button. All right, let's grab all that stuff out of there. Otherwise, yeah, just gonna dump all the recipes at once. And yeah, that just doesn't work. Okay, so now if we tell the system to make those items again, you know what? I'm also going to tell it to stop making this. Where is it? This one? Yeah, it's not gonna make any more living rock. Oh, I also did have to change the living rock one more time. It was not completing the recipe by putting the items in here into this drawer with the storage bus on the back. So I removed the storage bus, I put an interface here, and we're extracting out of this drawer into the main system, so that will complete the recipe. Okay, how are we doing here? Anything else crafting up? Nothing. Put that away. Okay, so again, rune of wrath, magnet is off. We have the interfaces set up correctly this time. 63. Go. Okay, so now it's gonna do one recipe at a time. Complete. Next recipe. That gets set and complete. So yes, this whole setup right here, this goes quite quickly. It does take a minute for all of these things to process, but it will process over time. We don't have to sit here and watch it, right? We don't have to do anything. Yeah, this is really awesome. I like this whole thing, the way that we got this right now. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, aside from that fail, I think we've done pretty good here for today, guys. We're gonna go and wrap the episode up here for today. I think we're done with BOTANIA for a little bit, hopefully. We have automated mana, we have automated runes, we have automated living rock, we have automated mana dust, mana pearls, mana diamond. I don't think there's really much else for us to do at this point. But anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to leave a like on the episode if you liked it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.